Ladies and gentlemen, the beat goes on.
Turn it up.
What you're about to hear may cause your speakers to explode.
Grant's Rock Warehouse is keeping it real in the field.
Get ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and I want to welcome the Parish of Rock back to the channel. It is episode 7 of our Slade series. Tonight we will be looking at 2 albums from 1981. We'll bring the house down and till death do us part. We want to hear from you in the chat. Let's do it.
Grant is trying to change the world one track at a time. Grant's Rock Warehouse is keeping it real in the field.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I've got the fog machine on, and the fog machine's ready. The Parish is ready, and we're ready to talk some Slade. I want to thank everyone for being patient. Sometimes these things take time, because when you go live, you never know what's going to happen. But ladies and gentlemen, look at him. Ladies and gentlemen, the Parish of Rock. Parish, nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be back on the show.
It's nice to have you. He is back, and if you've been keeping track of the series, you probably forgot that it even existed. We did have someone mention in the comment section, like, when are you guys going to do another Slade show? And I said, funny you should ask that, because we're going to do one on Thursday. So here we are. The last one was in July. I don't know what happened. We just didn't work out, right, Parish?
That's holidays and stuff, I think.
Yeah, but he's here today. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are in the 80s. 1981. We've got, where's my notes at, Grant? See, I was so worried about everything else. So we're in 1981. So, of course, Slade consists of Noddy Holder, vocals, rhythm guitar, Dave Hill, lead guitar, Jim Lea on bass and keyboards, Don Powell on drums. Still the same lineup. They had a triumphant performance at the Reading Festival in 1980, where they replaced Ozzy. And it seemed to start their career back up. In the 70s, as Parish and I were talking about, a little bit of a slump. They tried to break into the American market. Didn't work out so well, but we're on an upswing. The 80s are here, and after that Reading Festival, things are good. Parish, I guess I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, okay.
First album, what are we going to... Go ahead.
Before we do the albums,
sure.
So you're quite right. The single... Sorry, they played Reading, where it was a huge success. It was one of those gigs that I think it's probably the biggest sort of return of any band. It's certainly UK band. I mean, they were absolutely dead and buried. When we did the last show, we talked about Return to Bass.
Return to Bass.
And as I said at the time, I think I had both the copies that are sold in the UK at the time.
Parish, we also talked, because I looked that CD up online, and that's not a cheap CD. You know? I don't know. Because wasn't it on a... I'm sorry, but wasn't that on a different label or something? I'm trying to remember what the details...
This was on Barn Records.
Okay.
So this was Chas Chandler's own record label. And they were basically playing shoeboxes. The venues were so small. I saw them for the first time in '79 at Brunel University, and it was about 400 people there, packed into a student union bar, mostly punks, and they were dead and buried. And then just before Reading, they'd effectively split up, and Dave Hill was actually using his Rolls Royce as a wedding car. And,
he was running it out.
Well, he was driving as well, I think.
Well, he was the chauffeur.
He was the chauffeur for the weddings. And then Chas Chandler got a call from Ozzy, or maybe from Sharon, saying that Ozzy was ill. He was having to drop out of Reading. They were recommending Slade to fill in. And so they did. And they moved them earlier in the slot. So the Reading Festival was a kind of new wave of heavy metal British heavy metal sort of showcase. And Slade went on, I think, second or third band on the bill. They went on before Def Leppard, and nobody expected them to do very well, and they just blew everybody off stage, and it was a huge success. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but I do remember reading the article in Sounds a few days later, which was glowing. In fact, funnily enough, I was listening to Joe Elliott on the radio the other week of Def Leppard, and he said that he learnt two things from that show, having followed Slade. He said the first thing they learnt was never follow Slade. He said it was almost impossible. He said, and the second thing they learnt was what you have to do to put on a great show. And he said it transformed Def Leppard from a point of view of their live performances. So huge impact. Soon after came the single. So that was the single on Cheapskate Records.
Oh wow, I've never seen that. I've never seen that single.
So that was a single on Cheapskate Records. Then at Christmas, this came out as a single, which was a live version of Merry Christmas Everybody, sung at Reading, and a version of Okie Kokie, which we'll probably talk about later. And then Get Down, Get With It on the B-side. Cheapskate Records was the record label that bass player Jim Lea's brother had. And then they released a greatest hits package, and some interesting photos on the back.
So I'm assuming that's on Polydor. I'm assuming, yeah,
that
probably
was on Polydor. Yeah, it's got sort of a great discography in the back. Oh no, Polystar, which must have been Polydor, I guess.
Must have been like the Fame Love label for EMI, like the budget label or something.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, that was in the cover, the charts.
Mm-hmm.
That got in the charts. Slade Smashers had all the hits plus a few deep cuts as well. So that was, I mean, if you can find that, it's worth digging out. It's a really good compilation.
Yeah, I don't think that ever came out here, but there's a lot of Slade comps. There's a lot. Oh, there it is.
Said, this didn't actually come out until about 3 years ago as a pack. It was a CD pack of live albums. This came out as a standalone album. That gives you a flavour for how many people were at Reading. There's Dave Hill conducting. It's a huge
that's
crowd.
amazing.
I mean, bearing in mind that, as I say, there was second or third on the bill. They weren't headlining or anything. That's a big crowd to be watching. Mm-hmm. And in fact, this live album, which is out now, wasn't even the full set. There's still some songs that they didn't record. But I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Which then brings us on nicely to, as you say, the comeback album, We'll Bring the House Down, which also came out on Cheapskate Records. So that's the album. And to my surprise this afternoon when I pulled it out, I remembered I've even still got the flyer from the inside.
I should just leave you big. Show us that again.
Selling all the t-shirts and sweatshirts, and you could get a t-shirt for £3.95. There you go. And at the time I didn't buy one because I thought it was too much money. There you go.
Now you wish you bought one back in the day. Oh, well, it is what it is.
How times change, eh?
Let me ask you this, because since that was released, I mean, basically, well, I mean, it was the brothers' record label, but how did those records sell by 1981? Do you have any recollection? Because I don't think they did anything over here.
So the first single was We'll Bring the House Down, and that went to number 10 in the UK charts.
Okay.
So it was their comeback album. I mean, as I say, it was first proper album after the Reading Festival. That was a pretty big hit, number 10. It was their first hit for probably 6 years, And if you go off and watch their performance on Top of the Pops, which is on YouTube, because when you watch Noddy Holder's face, you've never seen a man look so happy in all his life. So all those years in the 70s when they were almost a permanent fixture on Top of the Pops, and then hadn't been on it for over 5 years, probably never thought they were going to get back on it again. No. And all of a sudden they were on Top of the Pops, opening the show. And you can just see the absolute joy, particularly in Noddy's face, but in all their faces. And the performance is fantastic. So, yeah, that was the first single from the album.
Backstage says that the album hit number 25 in the UK. So, I mean, it's not like the glory days, but I would take it, considering they were thinking that they wouldn't ever have anything
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah. And they were. I mean, I saw them on this tour, and the first gig I saw them at was a local town hall at Dunstable, and by the end of the tour, they sold out 2 or 3 nights at Hammersmith Odeon, which is 3,500. So they were, back, if not to the big time, certainly back to a reasonable level of popularity again. Not a very good album, Carmen. It looks a bit. It looks a bit homemade, doesn't it? Sort of like almost like they've done it themselves.
They don't have the same budget that they had before, Parish.
No. But,
and it's kind of a weird. It's kind of a, I don't know. I'll let you talk more about it before I weigh in.
Well, it's a weird album because it was cobbled together really. There's a few new songs on it, but it's mostly old tracks. So tracks from back to bass, which I showed earlier, that came out a few years earlier, and the bases, nobody bought it, nobody knew any of the songs. I guess it didn't matter, they repeated them. There was a few tracks from the 6 of the Best EP that we spoke about last time, that was on it as well. So there was quite a few old tracks on it, but in respect to that, I think it's just a fantastic album. The songs I just think are brilliant. The lead song, "We'll Bring the House Down," it's the drums are fantastic. It's a huge anthem. Kiss pinched the wah-ohs from it and used them for "I Love It Loud," and Gene Simmons admits that he nicked it off this song, so it's not even a secret. It's kind of he's admitted to it. And I just think it's a great song, and it's not surprising it got to number 10. And it's really just them celebrating Reading, really. When you listen to the lyrics, they just talk about the Reading concert. So
yeah, it does when I listen to it, even though we've pulled some tracks. Well, we've re-recorded tracks from Return to Base. But when you do that, mix it with the new tracks, it all works out. They sound like, I think that concert, I think that show, going on prior to Def Leppard, and just, I think that I can just feel that they've been revitalized,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just what they needed. So I'm not going to subtract any points because they re-recorded tracks from a previous record. I feel like this record, like Slade is back, album cover, it's okay. But, I don't know. Any thoughts on this record? Anything other?
Well, I'd say the
say?
standout tracks. I mean, Night Starvation, which is off that 6 of the Best EP, is really good.
Yeah. That is classic Slade.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Wheels Ain't Coming Down, I said last time when we talked about it on Back to Bass, is maybe even my favourite Slade song. I just think it's so good. Very clever, talking about a landing which nearly crashed. What I found ironic, I hadn't thought of this before, but what I found ironic is they can bring the house down, but they can't bring the wheels down. I thought that was quite amusing when I saw that. Realised that. Yeah, exactly. Hold On to Your Hats is pretty good. When I'm Dancing, I Ain't Fighting. I think it's a really good song, very catchy. Great sing along if you're at the concert. Dizzy Mama, which is a new song, actually that riff could be straight off Saxon's Wheels of Steel. It just shows you how they were embracing that new wave of British heavy metal and playing for that audience. But what I would say is it is odd, because the riff is Wheels of Steel, but Noddy Holder's doing an Elvis Presley impersonation. So if you ever want to hear Elvis sing Saxon or Saxon sings Elvis, this is the song, Dizzy Mama. It's a good song, though.
Yeah.
And I think another good song is Let Me Love Into You, which is really weird. It doesn't really sound like Slade, but if you drop the vocals, I think it could sound like a TV theme tune. It's got strange sort of sound effects, but the actual guitar is very Hank Marvin in the Shadows. Not Tonight, Josephine nicks the riff from Eddie Cochran's Something Else, but they get away with it, I guess. It's a pretty good song. So, yeah, overall, I think it's a really good album. And I remember at the time, I was kind of couldn't believe that they were back, really, because I've been following them all over the country at these small venues, and all of a sudden they were back into the big time. The album was doing well. They were in the charts, in the singles, and I couldn't have been happier, to be honest. 16-year-old me thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I think it's a really good album.
Kyle says, is Saxon sings Elvis better than Danzig sings Elvis?
Definitely.
Definitely. So I know we're here just talking Slade. Has anybody in the chat heard this record? And I mean, we could take some, if you've heard it, I mean, what would you rate it out of 10? What would you rate it out of 10? Parish?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I will give it a 9.5 out of 10.
I think it's phenomenal. I didn't give it that much, high of a rating. I gave it a solid, because I don't know if it's, we're still not in the early 70s anymore. But I think I could give this probably a solid 8 out of 10. If you can find it, I mean, it's high energy. If you are a Slade fan, you will absolutely love it. It's glam metal. It's not their peak, but damn close.
No, and I think my high score is probably sentimentality as much as anything else.
Yeah.
And
Ash is giving it Ash from Australia, he's getting, God, I might as well take everyone's score. Hold on. Since we're doing this, let's do it. Let's do it like we normally do it, Grant. Get your shit together. There's the
singles that came out.
Oh. Hold on. Let me see those again. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like the Slade, the fist with the Slade. I like it. Yeah, I've never seen those. Okay, so
I mean, the album hasn't been re-released. So some of the ones we've talked about have been re-released on BMG, but this isn't one that they've re-released yet, which is odd because they've not re-released Back to Base either. You would have thought they would have done one or the other.
Well, they're probably not going to come out on BMG. Maybe some other label, because BMG doesn't have the rights to that. But
maybe that's right. Yeah,
I don't know. So I got a 9.5 from the Parish. I'm going to give it an 8. We got Jeff's giving it an 8.5. I think this record's going to do pretty darn good. Ashley's giving it an 8. That's probably all we're going to get. We just haven't heard this record, and that's exactly why we're covering it. So, what do we have? We probably have an 8. We have an 8.5. I think an 8.5 is fair. Yeah. Wish we had more people to chime in on it, but that's all right. If you're getting into Slade, you haven't picked this up, if you can find it, the Parish and I would recommend it. I think you would like it. I think it'll fit right in. All right. Well, this might be we're only 19 minutes in. We can go to the next record. Next record, we are talking Till Death Do Us Part. So this record this is heavier, more aggressive sounding. There's no ballads on here. Kind of, when I listen to it, Parish, I kind of hear some AC/DC hooks on here, but I don't know. What's your whole thoughts on this record in this period?
Well,
I mean, it's not that far apart from, the other record.
It's quite interesting, actually, because this album is on RCA. So they were signed to RCA just after the last album. They signed to RCA because Chas Chandler, their manager, was a director at RCA. So he kind of got them in with them. They then released this single, which was the first single off it, Knuckle Sandwich Nancy, which was an absolute flop.
Oh boy.
Chas Chandler, apparently they blamed Chas Chandler for the fact it didn't sell, and they sacked him. So just got them back onto a major label. They then went and sacked their manager.
So the band didn't really. They blamed Chas for all this?
They blamed Chas because they felt RCA hadn't promoted it enough.
Oh, they didn't promote it.
Yeah, so they blamed him for that.
Well, they get signed to a different record label. You would have thought, Parish, they would have done some kind of promotion for it.
Well, apparently, I read in a autobiography of Jim Lea that apparently the band wanted to release that as the single, and RCA didn't. RCA wanted them to release "Lock Up Your Daughters," and Slade pushed them to release the other one. And as a result of that, they didn't. According to Jim Lea, they felt that it wasn't promoted because they didn't really want it to be a single. So they got their wish. I think again, I say it quite often. I think sometimes I'm the only person who actually buys these things because
you might be the only one that has that.
Probably the only one I have, yeah, who has. So, but then they did release "Lock Up Your Daughters." This hasn't got a particularly decent sleeves, you can't really see, but that was "Lock Up Your Daughters" as a single, and that got to number 24 in the chart. So that was a reasonable hit, back onto top of the pops, and they were starting to do pretty well again. So the record label were probably right saying it was the wrong song. That they should have gone with "Lock Up Your Daughters." So that's the album originally. That it was released again a couple of years ago, and that's the re-release version. That one's nice and white and pristine.
So did that come out? Did RCA re-release that, or did it get released on a different label?
I think it got re-released on the BMG.
That would make sense.
It got re-released on BMG, yeah.
Yeah. Well, those box sets, like we were talking about it months ago, ladies and gentlemen, the live box set, it's like a clamshell. Those are all on BMG. All those reissues are on BMG. So it only makes sense.
Yeah. I have to say, I think you either love or hate the album. I liked it at the time, and I don't like it at all now.
Okay, what is it about it you don't like now? What did you like then? And what don't you like?
Because I don't know, it was loud. It's ear-splitting kind of music, and therefore it kind of symbolised it quite well, I think. But now looking back, it just looks crude and.
Well, Ashley says if anyone wants heavy metal Slade, this is a must.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, from your point of view, Ashley, this will amuse you. I saw Slade on this tour as well, and on that tour they had Cold Chisel as the support. So you've got Jimmy Barnes and Noddy Holder on that tour. Two of my favourite vocalists. I mean, definitely two of the best sort of growlers, I would say, in rock music. And yeah, it was brilliant seeing Cold Chisel support Slade in '81.
So I'm just curious. Well, I don't have a problem with this record. I mean, if you want something, you want Slade doing AC/DC, I don't want to say that's totally what it is. I think that's what you get. But it's very raw. Lock Up Your Daughters, I think, is a classic. Rock and Roll Preachers, just ferocious. It's hard rocking.
For me, Rock and Roll Preacher is one of the best album openers of all time. With that church organ, the Reverend Noddy Holder doing his sermon at the beginning before it goes into the crunch of the song itself, and that from that point onwards, it was the song they always opened up the concerts with. So it became a standard in their set, and I just think it's one of the best album openers of all time.
What do you think the idea was? Because I know you've read those books. Were they trying to compete with the new wave of British heavy metal at the time? Was that why they came out with this record so fierce and rocking, or what was the deal?
Kind of. What they said is that they recognised that it was the heavy rock fans, the new wave of British heavy metal fans, that had got them back to where they were, and therefore they wanted to record an album for those fans. They wanted they didn't want to let them down. They wanted to do the album that they would want. So it was So I guess they were competing with the new wave of British heavy metal. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't directly, it was indirectly to compete with it. But it certainly worked because, that was definitely their audience at that point. I would say though, and we'll come on to it when we go through the songs, I actually think it's a very early hair metal album. You've kind of got the riffs of hair metal, you've definitely got some of the gang vocals that would come in to the hair metal sort of songs of the later in the 80s. So there's definitely a lot of sort of hair metal type tropes on this album, and I say that in a good way because I like hair metal. I don't say it.
I know, this is why I'm kind of shocked, because I'm not sure. Is it because this deviates so much from the original Slade sound that you just can't make the leap? What is it, Parish? What is it?
I think the songs fundamentally are still Slade songs. They just turned them up to 10 and they've let Dave Hill go rip with the riffs, really. But I think you strip them back a bit, and I don't think they're that fundamentally any different to songs from the past. But I do think there's some really great songs on here. So,
oh, I agree. They're not reinventing. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary. They just seem to be trying to keep up with the times. But I think that the songs are on here, and like you mentioned, Rock and Roll Preacher has to be one of the best opening tracks on anything in the 80s so far. Yeah. I don't know. There's really not any glam on here. It just seems more it does seem hair metal-y. Okay.
Yeah. So what you've got going through the songs, you've got so I'll just get me notes. So you've got we've talked about Rock and Roll Preacher. You then go into Lock Up Your Daughters, which was the hit. I think that sounds quite Whitesnake actually around that time in 81. You then get the title track, which is another song. As you say, there's no ballads on here. They're all up-tempo rockers. This is definitely starts to feel a bit a bit hair metal with the gang vocals and the riffs, I think, on the title track. Ruby Red, though, is just a pop song, isn't it? It's just a pop song with a bit of riffs in there, but I think that's a great song. Should have been a hit. It wasn't a particular big hit, but it...
but it does, you know what, Parish? It does sound like a single to me.
Yeah.
It does sound like a single.
On the radio.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that track either. It's too bad it wasn't a big hit, but...
Then you've got she brings out the Devil in Me, another good rocker with a great riff. I mean, definitely. I think on the previous album, Don Powell on the drums is probably the doing most of the heavy lifting. I think on this album, it's definitely Dave Hill. They've allowed him to turn his guitar up to 11 on this one.
Yeah, it's kind of Dave's album, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't mind. And I love Dave, so I don't have a problem.
Reflect that on the back. Look, they've even got Dave on the back, so...
See, that is such a great... And I'm glad... See, I've never seen the back cover of it, and I am so glad they used that image because it totally fits.
The other reason I used to like the album cover at the time, you got the nail on the front, and you see it appearing. It's like it's been pushed right through the record.
I love it.
It is on the back. So
You know what
I thought that was quite funny.
Parish, I just had a thought that the front cover reminds me, why, if it said golden earring on it, I would have taken it as a golden earring album for some reason. I don't know why. It just reminds me of that.
And then you turn it over, you've got A Night to Remember, which is almost speed metal, actually. I mean, it's pretty fast. Definitely as heavy as anything that the new wave of British heavy metal was doing at the time. As heavy as probably anybody other than, and maybe Motorhead would be heavier, but other than that, then you got a change in style with this Mahatma Coat instrumental, which is nice. And then It's Not Your Body, sorry, It's Your Body, Not Your Mind has got some of the most dodgy lyrics, I think.
That's an aggressive track.
It's certainly they certainly wouldn't get away with those lyrics today, but it's a good song. It's got a great riff and it's very heavy. Let the Rock Roll Out of Control. I mean, all of the rest of the songs are heavy songs, and the single Knuckle Sandwich Nancy, even though it wasn't a hit, is again I think it's great. So yeah, I've got nothing but love for this album. It is their heavy metal album, as was mentioned earlier. They did change a bit with the next album and evolve again, but as a moment in time, it definitely was a love letter back to the fans. Had got them back in the charts, I think, and you know they rode that wave of new wave of British heavy metal.
What's your thought? Okay, the single Ruby Red, the B-side Funk, Punk, and Junk. Do you have that on? You've got that on one of those 45s, right?
I've got it on the single. Yeah, it was the one single I couldn't find when I was looking earlier. But I have got the single. And if you listen to Spotify, it's actually added as a bonus track on Spotify.
Wow.
So maybe when it came out as maybe when it was released on CD at some point, they added it as the bonus track.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I mean, it's decent. I don't have a problem with it.
It's a good song, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
The thing is with Slade, and we've talked about this before, their B-sides could be long on the records easily. You wouldn't think why. You'd listen to things like, and you just go, why is that a B-side?
But they didn't do it, did they, back then? I mean, Sweet used to, you know, their B-sides quite often didn't appear on the albums. T-Rex, very often their B-sides didn't appear on albums. The Jam, if you listen to the Jam's singles, the B-sides very often weren't on the albums. So
yeah,
this came out a year later. This single, the Okie Kokie that we spoke about earlier. But again, look at that as a live shot on the picture
I
disc.
love it.
All the toilet rolls being chucked up on the stage.
That had to be one of their best. I wish I could have been there to see it. I bet that was just incredible.
I think that might be Donington, actually, rather than... It's either Reading or Donington, but I think it's Donington. That one. But
yeah, it's great.
so you've got that, and then you've got a sort of like a family photo almost on the front. It's really weird.
Well, they're a kindlier, friendlier Slade.
Yeah, that's Uncle Slade as opposed to Rockstar Slade, I think. But yeah, that's the Okie Kokie, which is also I think it's on the as a bonus track on Spotify as well, and that is strange. I mean,
Ken, no, but Ken, that's what I was thinking of, the Roaring Silence album. This could have been a Manfred Mann cover, I swear to God. Well, all right. So everybody in the chat, and if you've heard this record, what would you rate it out of 10? So Parish, what would you rate this?
I'd give it a 10.
Damn.
But again, it's probably sentimentality because I loved it at the time. I mean, on this tour, between those two albums, they were just relentlessly touring around the UK. And if I wasn't playing live myself in the band I was in, I was going to see Slade. So I must have seen Slade live 50, 60 times over that 2-year period.
Yeah.
80, 81. So I've got so many memories, and as I say, that kind of sentimentality is probably kicking in a bit. But yeah, I just love this album.
Yeah, because this is a fully realized album, and it is a Dave Hill album. I like Dave's playing. I like to hear Dave. I would give this record a 9. I think it's, I'm going to give it a 9. So far, we've got a 10 from you and 3 9s. Anybody else can weigh in? Well, obviously, this is going to come out really well.
I'm picking up a point that was made earlier about if you want heavy metal Slade, listen to this. I mean, if you don't particularly like Slade, I would say this is the album to go and listen to. If you're kind of more into heavy rock and Slade is a bit too poppy at times or whatever, then listen to this album, because this album is definitely different from what's gone before.
Yeah. I think they're right on track. They still feel inspired. I mean, look at this. We put out 2 albums in 1981. We're getting to that point in the 80s where a lot of people aren't putting out 2 albums during the same year. So I feel when this happens in this situation, I know it's a different label. They got signed to RCA. I think even though they weren't happy with RCA, I do feel that you can listen to the record and you can feel that, yes, they're on a roll. So...
yeah, and they stuck with RCA. I mean, the next record, which we'll talk about next time, that was on RCA as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they did stick with them.
Ken says, it doesn't happen often, but I've never heard this album. Well, that's why we're talking about it. No one knows about these records here in the States for the most part. I don't think they ever got a U.S. release.
The thing is, Ken, that's what happens to your ear after you've listened to it. That's the only.
Brace yourself, Ken.
Yeah, that's the only downside. Turn it up to 11. That's all I can say.
Love Slade, but this album's a 7.5. Okay, well, I'll take that into consideration. I'll take that. 2 album releases were more prevalent in the 70s, 100%. That's why I'm kind of surprised, and we're in 81 and they did it, but whatever.
Yeah, but let's not forget the first of the 2 was almost re-recordings of old songs, so...
So
it's kind of like 1.5 albums in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
But
2
they were
album
on a
releases...
roll, weren't they? They were absolutely on a roll.
They were
going to
roll.
milk it. They were going to milk it for as long as they could, so...
Well, I don't have anything more. I think we covered it pretty much. Anything else you want to add, Parish?
No, this was a lot of fun. It was great for me going down memory lane, pulling out all the records and reminding myself of what it was like to be 16. So, yeah, loved it. So thank you for having me on.
So we've got... All right, so if I calculate this all together, we got an 8.9 and 8.5. So both of these records, if you can get a hold of them, I mean, if you're into physical media, go on Spotify and check them out if you want. But me being a physical media person,
that one's reasonably easy to get hold of because it was re-released a couple of years ago. So
yeah, get yours today's kids.
Hopefully, the other one will be shortly.
Hot Garbage says, sad part is that other bands made their songs more popular than they did. Well,
I suspect that they were happy to take the royalties.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to come on in a minute, or not in a minute, on the next show. The next album was the song that they actually finally broke America with to some extent.
No,
Runaway.
Runaway, Parish, I remember back in the day on MTV here in the States, they played that all the time.
Yeah, and I think that was off the back of Quiet Riot, because I think that kind of opened the door for America to, certainly MTV, to be more interested in them. So I don't particularly like the Quiet Riot versions, but I certainly respect the fact that they kind of helped Slade's career at this point as well. So
it all worked out. I'm sure, they were fine with Quiet Riot doing them, you know.
I suspect so.
And, you know, come on, they were the Quiet Riot versions are fine. I mean, is it better than the Slade versions? No, I wouldn't say that. I don't think they're doing anything unusual on those, you know. So it is what it is. Ash says the Quiet Riot version of Mama, We're All Crazy Now was terrible. Oh, my God. My oh my as well. Agreed. Slade original was much better. Next. Well, yeah, because they really didn't reinvent anything. They're just kind of, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know. All right, kids. Well, we can,
didn't it? So
yeah, 40 minutes. Get in, get out with these shows. So, what? Okay, well, we need to talk about what we're going to do next time. So, Get Your Hands Off My Power Supply was released in the States, but what was the record? The one I've got is Get Your Hands Off My Power Supply.
Yeah, so it was the Amazing Kamikaze. Was what it was called over here.
Now, was it the same track listing? Do you have any idea? I don't know. I haven't even gotten to that point yet.
It's a different order, and there's a couple of different tracks on the albums.
All right. Well, we can kind of look at both of them.
So we'll look at those. I suggest we also look at Slade on Stage as well, which came out at the same time. That's a really, like all their live albums, really good. So, yeah, if we did those, yeah, that'll probably cover us for the next one.
All right, I'm writing it down. What was the live album again? Sorry. Slade what?
Slade on Stage.
Slade on, yeah, I've got that. And
which has got one of the worst, if not the worst, album cover of all time, in my view.
All right, kids, we will be back. We'll try to get something set up for next month with the, ladies and gentlemen, the Parish of Rock. And we will talk about 2 more Slade albums. So that'll give you time to prepare. So we will be looking at Slade on Stage. And, well, if anybody here in the States, Get Your Hands Off My Power Supply. And, I'll prepare that one. You can look at the UK version, and we'll just go from there.
I've got both. So
of course you do. Of course you do, Parish.
Yeah, sorry, Syndrome. Yeah, the Amazing Kamikaze Syndrome. You're quite right, Ash. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Hot Garbage. I want to thank everybody in the chat for tuning in. We will be back this weekend. There's the Psychedelic Breakfast on Sunday. There's going to be a listening party Sunday evening where we'll be doing 1968. So Sunday's full of stuff. And then the weekend after, Angie Moon will be back and we will be doing the Birds at the 9 a.m. slot on Sunday. All right, Parish, are you having any appearances on any other channels? Anything else going on in your world real quick?
I'm sure I'll be on the Contrarians through December. Trying to think what else. I think that's it.
The Parish is in demand, kids. So he'll be around. Get your hands off Grant's power supply. Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great evening. See you Sunday evening. All right, everybody. See you, Parish. I will be in contact. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you, everybody.
And you. See you soon. Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.